Hola, bienvenidos a Broadway Latino. Hoy les traemos la primera parte de la entrevista que hicimos con el director musical de Broadway, Micah Young.
Well, I'm Micah Young. I'm a music director, composer, and lots of other hats, like audition pianist, rehearsal pianist, Broadway pit pianist, arranger, orchestrator, educator. I do a lot of things, but mainly musician, right? And I've lived in New York now for almost 18 years.
Momento, antes de seguir con este video queremos recordarles que se suscriban a nuestro canal y que le den clic a la campanita para recibir notificaciones de nuestros videos.
Y no se olviden de seguirnos en las redes sociales como Oficial Broadway Latino.
I'm older than I look, man.
Whoa! Okay, cool.
Wait, you are not, so you are, at least 21.
Just turned 21.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah.
All right.
I came for school and then went to Manhattan School of Music and then started working on Broadway and did that for the last 12 or 13 years.
I love how lightly you mention it. It's like, oh, and then I started
Exactly.
on Broadway. And
No.
Just
Just
know
like Broadway.
Broadway.
Uh-huh.
I played a bunch of Broadway shows and then we'll get into it. We'll get into it, right?
You will. Yes. I'm just so fascinated by your role. I mean, music directors are just so key in every production. I feel like who would everyone be without BMD? What do you enjoy the most about that?
About being a music director?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the collaboration. I mean, so many things, right? On the one hand, it's being able to work with actors like you. It's being able to discover whatever that little trouble spot was and make it beautiful. Like that spot where actors. It's always the little things, right? It's like that entrance you might struggle with, or that little note that's a bit of a struggle, and then being able to work with you to sort of crack the code, to get to the next. For a lot of those longer running shows, it's a bit like, how do we keep this fresh? How do we keep it energized and fun, even though we're doing it 8 times a week for years?
Yes.
But for working with new shows and writers, it's extremely gratifying to get a new score, and then get to work on creating and working with the composer and the lyricist and the director and figuring out how best to tell the story. Depending on what the circumstances are.
Wow.
Yes, and now funny that you mention it, because I forgot to explain people how we know each other. I met you because I did a reading of one of your musicals, because you're a composer, right? So
Right.
This was B and Ben. Yeah, Ben and B and Ben.
Right.
And it was really fun because it was a living room reading to see what the new updates of the musical, so Micah could hear it for the first time. Well, I don't know for the first time, but you could hear it with sort of live, not an orchestra, but like it was live. It was people singing and the full reading, the dialogue, and singing the songs. It was a lot of fun. So not only he is a Broadway music director, but he also writes his own music, which is really, really cool, because I cannot even play the piano. Like, I do this with my notes to know what I am supposed to sing, and that's it.
The Schroeder, you look like with the Schroeder colors, like the Peanuts cartoon. That's how he plays. Or maybe it's Lucy that plays it. I forget. Some of them play it. Linus, maybe he plays it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And I have to be like, because I learned music in solfege, so I have to be like, oh, and I learned it in Spanish. So for me, it's like sol. Okay, that's a G. Okay, that's here. So it's like I have to do the translation first, and from solfege to the letters. I don't know how that one's called. The letters, and then it's like, oh, where this one is here. And so for me, it's just a really slow process. And then you go take a voice coach session with Micah, and he's like, oh, do you want a different key? I can do it right away. So he doesn't even need to look at the sheet music. He just goes for it. What is going on?
You sound that I should hire you as my publicist.
I'll send you an invoice.
me. And you know, that reading you did, I was already on, I think I wasn't there because I was already music directing the national tour of Fun Home, right? I was out,
Yes.
I was out of town, and I think that is so much the nature of what we do as artists. While this project you're having maybe created something already, you're already working on the next thing, and you know, it's like when you see movie actors and they've got like 5 movies that come out all at the same time, and you're like, how is it possible that this actor is in all these movies? It's because they probably got hired for a bunch of things and we're always hustling to get the next thing. And it usually comes in waves where all of a sudden, while you're doing a reading of this piece, you know, you get hired for something else, and it's just like, great. And you take, because you want the work when it comes, you know?
Exactly.
Yes, you want to secure it, because
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that most people don't know, that it's such an uncertain career.
Yes.
Like, you may work now on Broadway and then you may not work for the next 6 years, and it's not your fault. It's not that you're not looking. It's not that you're not auditioning. It's that that's just how the business works. So that's
Exactly.
a reality check that everybody needs to like understand.
Yeah, you're constantly on the move. Micah, what inspired you to pursue music?
A lot of things, but I think, you know, I come from a family of musicians. My parents are both classical voice teachers, and I think it was, well, first in high school, I knew early on that I wanted to pursue something in the arts, and at the time I was living in Michigan, and Interlochen Arts Academy, we always do the mitten in Michigan, because here's Detroit.
Oh, and the lake?
This is Michigan, like Chicago, and then there's like, yeah. So that's what we always do, because from Michigan we're like, oh, the mitten. But up in Traverse City, way up here, there's a school called Interlochen Arts Academy that a lot of international students go to from all over the world. And I applied, I auditioned, I got in, and so I left home at 16 to go play piano at a high school, like a performing arts school, kind of LaGuardia. Or
LaGuardia?
Yeah.
Oh.
That kind of where you know, it's a pre-college experience. And then from that point, but before that, I loved playing shows. I played in the pits in the community theater at home. I found that to be a viable position for me. I mean, I think back to feeling just the ownership of sitting at the piano, you know, because that's a very solid job, and I sort of like the control. Maybe I
Oh, so that's why you guys are such good friends. I'm just kidding.
Do you see what she does? And she, like, this is, she's not gonna edit this out.
Yeah. But well, also though too, like playing for singers. I love the chamber music. I love working with singers. I do concerts, recitals. When I do classical concerts, it would be like me and a singer, and like my sister and I would play together. She's a soprano. We would like perform together, and it was like our duo. It was like our thing. That's always had a good place in my heart, you know, like playing for my parents. I think also having that skill was I found out early on it was very marketable, right? Like I played in churches, I played in theater, I played for voice lessons, dance lessons, you know, any kind of acting classes. I even said the other day, someone was kind of, you know, feeling very, how do I say this nicely? Someone was being very, very pessimistic about the nature of the arts right now, because we're all sort of in this struggle. And I realized that I've been getting paid to play music since I was 14. So I've been doing it for 22 years.
Wow.
You do the math.
So if you didn't do the math before,
Still 21. No, I don't want to be 21 again. I want to be 20.
no, yeah, I don't want to be. I like nice stage in my life, but no, I rather be in my 30s with my,
Yeah.
like,
30 and flirty and thriving.
yes.
in the 30s, and well, we're still here, friends. We're still here.
Yes.
Yeah.
At home, but we're still here.
At home.
Right? Well, this is funny that you mentioned this, because our next question was actually, what are some of the challenges that you've gotten to achieve what you want, to get your career going?
That's a bit. You both of you asked very big questions. All right, so do you want to maybe let's narrow that down to getting started?
Okay.
You said the challenges of maybe getting started.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, so when I went to Interlochen, I went there as a junior, so that's my last. We have, you know, freshman, sophomore, and then junior, senior in high school in the States, right? So I did junior, senior, and it was a perfect amount of time, 2 years, to get some really focused training, get my lessons, get my music theory, get all those pre-college classes. And then the end of my senior year, I was auditioning. Like you audition. We auditioned, I think I auditioned at 7 or 9 conservatories, and ended up going to, it was like I was doing my own concert tour for, you know, 5 people behind the table, you know, every school. And I got into Manhattan School of Music, and I remember realizing not only did I got accepted to a teacher studio, this very renowned teacher named Constance Keene. And just for a point of reference, Constance Keene had 6 degrees of separation to like Chopin and Liszt. And the part that sold me on her was her husband knew George Gershwin in New York. And that was a huge, that was like, I was sold when she like knew, we worked on Rhapsody in Blue, we worked on all that music, and it was like, she knew that, you know, she had direct ties to the people. I mean, she was New York she was historic, you know?
Completely.
But I think also, because I know the question was struggle, but it reminds me that she taught Jimmy Roberts, who wrote I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, which brought like 10 years. And she said to me, the first thing she said to me, I was like, I want to play this, I want to play jazz, I want musical theater. And she said, I don't care what you play, as long as you play it well. And it opened me up, because it didn't, so many teachers say you can only do this. And what she said is, you can do anything you want, but do it well. Now the struggle, getting to your question, Jorge, the struggle was getting in, right? I had to audition. Yeah. So if you strip it down to any young person now, you have to have training, and I think you have to have discipline, self-discipline. I was just talking to a friend recently about the influencers, TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and they're great. That's fun 30 seconds of a video, but to get to a next level of substance, whether it's ballet, singing,
in Spanish we have a saying,
you have to have training, and you have to, your
knowledge you know, when you
that moment,
when
right? Your 15 minutes of fame is up.
Plant,
what else can you show us?
Leaf wrapping it, and when you take the corn out of that, the leaf is out there, just, of course it dries out, but it burns out like this, less than 2 seconds. So that is, we use that phrase to reference TikTok fame. It's like, you did a 15-second video, cool, we don't remember the video anymore, unless there's like 3,000 videos of those similar to those 15 seconds, you know? So, yeah.
And then I think the struggle then too, that the next step getting to, because that's schooling, you get training, whether you go to school or you find a mentor, you find a professional. I do a lot of teaching now where it's private, it's just me. I mean, I teach with different programs now, but the other big lesson was find somebody you like, if you want to learn acting, find an actor you admire, if you want to sing, find a singer you admire. If you truly believe they know what they're doing, you know, teaching is a skill, but hopefully if you can find the right teacher through someone you admire, you know, you can learn. Getting from school to work was a whole other thing. That was because here you have all this ability, but how do you market your ability onto the market, onto the actual practical application? And I contacted some, I got really nervous in school because school was not teaching me how to get a job. They were just teaching me how to play the piano really well. That's great. playing the piano is great, but you know, if you don't have the proper tools, doesn't matter. It's like what we're doing right now. If I couldn't use the computer to talk to you both, doesn't matter what I have to say.
Muchas gracias por ver este episodio.
No se olviden de suscribirse a nuestro canal y darle clic a la campanita para recibir notificaciones de cada video que subimos.
Y también síguenos en redes sociales como Oficial Broadway Latino. Nos vemos en el siguiente episodio.